Thank you. So I will just start maybe because I was somewhat in the background because I helped with a lot of technical details during this conference. But there was a lot of discussion, and most of it positive, about the diverse approaches to the issue of education and emancipation. And I would actually like to ask this question to everybody, maybe a little bit provocative or not so easy to answer. But if you would have to choose like one approach of one scientific field, or who maybe in your opinion, from everything you heard, came closer than maybe the others to actually achieving some kind of emancipation in education, or more emancipation in education?
Well, I would like actually to say that I really liked Natasha Lackovic, the first panel actually, where she talked about relational education. I think that has some serious potential for it's a different approach than what I heard of before, and it has some serious potential to actually change the way we think about subjects, like to completely break up these traditional subjects and actually make something better, make better subjects that could actually go deeper into various interconnections between disciplines. So that is for me something that I would single out as I would like to continue to work with people interested in this idea to see if we could develop it here somehow. That would be a very interesting thing to do for me.
Just to clarify for the many philosophers present, of course, don't take emancipation too closely. I'm asking, let's make it more simpler. How can we make education better or less bad?
Well, I think this is an excellent question. I think Diana.
Pa, evo da probam da odgovorim na tvoje pitanje. Bez obzira što si spomenula da se možda možda ne pozivamo sada na ovo samo izlaganje koje sam čula, ali se zahvaljujem gospođi koja je poslednje izlagala i koja nam je malo prenela i nekih realnih problema koji se susrećemo i u učionici, da li je predškolska, da li je osnovna škola. I čini mi se da bi zapravo trebalo, kako učiniti obrazovanje boljim, da se sve teorije koje smo sada čuli zapravo malo više ili mnogo više, prema mom ličnom mišljenju, povežu sa praksom i da se malo više upoznamo sa onim što se zaista dešava u učionici i da se povežemo više i sa nastavnicima koji predaju i u vrtićima, osnovnim i srednjim školama i da nam oni malo ispričaju neko svoje iskustvo. Hvala.
Okay, for our English-speaking participants, the answer to this question, how to make education better, would be if we could all, us academics here, doing our research on various topics, actually be more connected to people who are actually practicing education.
I would like to get back to what Olga said about relational education, and it's kind of connected to what Tiana said about connectivity between theory and practice, because relational is like we are all becoming together. So theory should become something else by working with practice, and research should be some sort of connectivity between those two. And also it is relation between different subjects and different disciplines, but also relations between different people. And that's also something that we tackled a bit between adults and between children and between whoever exists in the field of education. So maybe that would be somehow the answer on your question as well, that answer is in all the disciplines that were here and that talked. And in all the ideas, we tackled technology, but we tackled embodiment as well. Visual images, we tackled emotions, as well as we tackled some rational aspect. And the answer would be somewhere in all of those. But in practice, we often put too much pressure on one aspect, and we have that risk to fall back into that binary as well again. If we say that only embodiment is the answer, or only art is the answer, and it shouldn't be. But somewhere in between, in the way that all of those work together, would be some way of building a different path towards something different.
Well, another thing that I would like to add is that one of the conclusions that that somehow we can derive from what we spoke on this conference is definitely that we need more images in education. Everybody who were, so that was something new to me also. I didn't really think that this aspect of education would be, so I didn't see it as emancipatory before, but now I see differently. I mean, I saw it more as a tool, one of the helpful tools for maybe better, more interesting lectures. But there is more to it than this, in the sense that images are actually a whole other. They open a whole other way of thinking about what is represented in the image. And the possibility for people to discuss and confront interpretations and learn from each other during this process, that was also something very interesting for me. Yeah.
I just want to add, because of images you talk about, I think that the main thing in that is that we need to provoke education, and maybe through images from, I don't know, pictures or movies or something different in our education, we just provoke. And we need to be provoked because that is the way we learn. That is the way we become more, I don't know, researchers of our practices. So I think for us that was the aha moment, because it provoked us to think differently. And I think that in education we need more that stuff how to research and how to behave differently in the context like education.
Me again. I think that in this question of images, specifically, what really opened up those ideas at Natasha's talk was the way we do images, the way we think images. And we have images in education right now. Every book has some images in education, and kids in preschool have images all the time. But the way we approach those images is not emancipatory. It's more like something that you should reproduce or something that should illustrate the idea that we told you, not something that should provoke you to do something different. And that is as well the risk of everything that we talk. Like, technology cannot be the answer, but it could be if we think technology differently and do technology differently. Visual aspect as well, embodiment as well. Like, nothing is the answer by itself, but the way we do it and the way we approach it might be the answer. So different ways that we do things. Like, I have a feeling that sometimes we are quite unjust towards words, because words can also be performed differently and emancipatory. So just the way of doing things. And that's something that we also mentioned a lot of times, like process of doing things is important, not things by themselves.
Yes, and it would appear, I have to say, because I agree with this, and it would appear that the way in which we should approach them is also what one of the participants mentioned, interactivity, in the sense of more discussion, problem-posing education that involves people in a discussion and actually where we can learn from each other through this discussion, which doesn't really happen in education today. Maybe in some parts of the world it does, but in some parts definitely not. Okay.
If you want to go further, then. Okay, I will just to add some question and to provoke. I think that one of the problems with education for all the time is that generally with the large educational system, it is like, let's say, slow institution. It's slow, it's changed very, very slowly. And today is probably most challenging because you get dramatical changes with the media that could influence education on its own. Outside educational institution, it's challenge for educational system to become more flexible, to have possibility to adapt to situation in a not so much long time, and that's probably something that could be an optimistic conclusion that these challenges could in a way reform educational system not to be so slow and old anymore. Just probably some topic for future.
Okay, I will keep talking. Yes, the system is very slow, but I think that one of the issues is the reason that education is a deeply responsible field. Like you're responsible for someone's life. You have the feeling that you're responsible for some sort of future. So we have a need to be certain in what we do. And that is the problem. We can never be certain in what we do. So we keep to some old solutions, even if we don't know that they don't work, just because we have some sort of, I don't know, they are some kind of legal solutions. So we can somehow justify our actions. And the way that other world challenges us is something that can provoke education to change. But what we see now in this pandemic time is that all system went online, but nothing changed because the way we work is the same. We just switched the traditional frontal way of working on television, and we just switched the homework to internet. Like we don't use the media as a media, but we use it as just to do the same as we would do before, because we are not sure how to work with that. And that question of not being sure, and it is okay, but it is a great question of what is the borderline between responsibility and flexibility, and that unpredictability about which we talk all the time, and the fact that we are responsible.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I really liked what I heard from you, Neven, a couple of days ago, I think. I don't know at which point, but this is crucial. That when we talk about new media, we're completely, like all the researchers, not only in Serbia, but around the world, are excluding the actual people using this technology, the children, the younger generations. And this discrepancy is so large, it's actually kind of ridiculous. This is actually my field. I did a PhD in internet and art and interconnection. And I remember watching, it was a show on a Serbian radio television, morning show, and a researcher came to present her data, and they did actually a really big empirical research on how children use, how can children use technology in a positive way. And just listening to, I can't remember the name, but listening to her, you can see how far away, how big a gap there is between her view of what these young people are doing and even what I know they're doing, and I'm not them. So I just wanted to make that point, but how important this is, and how maybe I'm mistaken, but it seems to me that there is even a larger gap now between us and this young generation than there was between us when we were young and the generation that came before us.
I have a need just to respond to this. That is also something that I think we tackled a bit during these conversations, the need to learn with them, not just to teach them or to learn from them. But we must somehow accept that we don't know those children and we will never know them. Like, we cannot know them. I cannot really know her, and we worked together for a couple of years and at least know children. But how do we work with something that we don't know? That's, again, one aspect of that unpredictability that we must accept to work ethically with it. How do I become responsible for something that I don't know and that I cannot know?
I think that issue is not so much in unpredictability as much there is in this really, and we talked about this issue also in this conference, this idea that we are going to tell you, we're going to make a decision here, what should be done, how it should be done. We will make judgments on what means will be used for this. And actually, maybe we should, maybe for this conference, which was titled so well, asking the question, is it maybe an or question? Is it maybe we are either going to have education or we're going to have emancipation? This is also something to consider. Maybe it's not only like, okay, there is this unknown and we should be more relational, we should listen more, we should include the other more, but maybe the whole thing is a problem. I think that this is also something, if somebody would like to address it, I would love to hear more about it from everybody.
I can continue. Okay, I think that the idea that we can like erase education right now cannot be the real idea, because educational system is here. And educational system is, and it's most visible in preschool. It is not just a system in which we educate children. It is also a system in which we care for children, and in which somehow, well, it answers on many different problems in the society. And parents have a need to leave their children somewhere, so children will be on some sort of space. And what we do in that space is more of a question. So the educational system will continue to be here, and education will continue to be here. Just is the question of what we think that education is, and it should be. It is not like I teach you something, but can it be really some sort of metaphysical space in which we all learn something together, and not just teacher and students, but as well as parents, as well as broader community.
Well, I think actually that this is a nice closing thought that we can all bring together with us. And I would actually like to, because I see that there is no more raised hands, I would like to thank you all for being here, for participating, for presenting, for listening, and for making this conference happen. I'm very happy and I think us, the organizing team, Vera and Igor and me, we are all very satisfied, and Tiana and everybody else who was actually participating in this. Maria, sorry, So all of us would like to thank you, and we are happy with how this is. You actually want to speak now?
You can finish your talk, but I want to add something.
We hope that next year we will have an even better conference. We will let you know about the publication that we are planning, or publications, maybe in the plural. We'll see how it works out after a meeting that we will have definitely soon. And that's it. Now I will give word to Igor.
Okay, I just want especially to thank for the participants that were here for almost all the time, and to all participants, of course, and to give a special thanks for some people in the background, like Nenad and Mladen, who helped us here, and Balcha and Leka, who worked with the camera, and Dejan, who technically make this thing possible. So thank you all.
Good, thank you.